Let's continue on with our modeling of the system that we're working on. So we need to finish up a few more slices in here. Let me turn off my updates here. So my notifications, I always forget to turn them off. Yesterday was too much of a day for me in terms of appointments, and still trying to move house, so didn't have time, unfortunately, for yesterday. So hopefully today we'll make up for it. We'll continue on with our event modeling. I want to get through the event modeling and then maybe do a couple of tests, since we haven't really touched testing yet. So I want to show what the unit tests look like in these situations. There is just a small set of tests that we want to do. I guess one that tests state transition, one that tests a state view. I have one in mind specifically for state views. And that would be something that really explains a little bit better the approach that we're taking to this example app, which has some interesting interesting ways of dealing with multiple events that overwrite one another. So it's actually quite simple, but we want to have something that shows this to the developers. That's the intention of the specification, to really make it clear for developers what to do to end up with a functional system. And this is one of those ways that we'll see. So let's show that on the event model first. Might as well get that out of the way. So if we want to show, for example, that every time we have this name set here, that if we go back to this page and reset the name, that it's okay to have multiple of these events. And this is where we'll have our given then, not given when then, but given then. For state views, that is really what we have, is a scenario where we're building up what does this view look like? So if someone was to go to this page, what would it show? In this case, we made the business decision, the business rule choice, that if we first of all have just one of this name set event, then this is what the view will show. But some questions for the developers might come up with, well, what if someone goes to that page and no one's ever defined a name? Do we show undefined? Do we just show blank? I think for this case, it's up to us really to determine what that is. Let me just zoom in a bit here for those that are watching on a phone or something. So let's just say that it's empty. Let's just leave it blank. So if we have no events, we're looking at this right now, our set of business-facing tests really means that if no one's ever defined a name for the space, then we really just show a blank. And that's good enough for now. So let's, and then the happy path here is we set the name, and that's what it shows. So the next iteration is really, well, what if someone goes and does this twice, right? So we could have the situation where, afterward, we're doing this, you can see when this is being set, right? Let's say the next day, at the same time, someone calls this, uses the full name, event modeling, maybe space. So in this case, which one do we show? Well, it's really our decision, like I said. So we will show event modeling. Right, and then just to be complete and thorough, we can do one more remove this here, or sorry, move this here over one more and say that, all right, if we set it to on another day, let's say the following day, there was another event, someone else set that, and we call it event modeling open spaces, then that's what we're going to have. Okay, so now when someone's looking at this event model and they're saying, well, okay, I see your general workflow here, but when I'm implementing this function here, how do I know that I'm getting, you know, the proper the proper result? And so we're going to have to do a little bit of refactoring as we see that our infrastructure needs to provide a better interface for being able to test these scenarios. And for the most part, that's going to be a bit of scaffolding introduced to when we call this function that creates the green box. Let's take a look at that code right now. So we really have this open spaces data ranges, but it has no parameter. It's not getting all of the previous events, right? Now, if we look at this implementation, all it does is gets the last event here named this. And this also has a problem because, again, we have to look at this implementation to see where those events come from. So this is about bubbling up all our dependencies. And it's something that we need to do to make sure that when we say get last event, notice that there's this file, read, sync, all of this stuff that comes in. So it's directly grabbing this from the files. There's no abstraction of where the files come from. And really what we need to do is basically have a function that says, give me all of the events. In JavaScript, we may actually be able to say, you know, what we do with those event names, whether we read them directly or not. Because here, there's an interesting part here that we don't actually get all the events. There's two levels. We get the event names, which allows us to a certain level of filtration, but then we also get the event file contents. And so that's kind of a shortcut we took at the beginning, but event sourcing is about applying functions across events themselves. So we're allowing a partial ability of doing this based on the file names themselves. Now, obviously, with short events, you could conceptually embed the entire event data into the name, and this problem will go away. But we really have some of the information we need to store in the file itself. And so, well, that could be a shortcut. It probably wouldn't be one that's scalable or duplicated in lots of other frameworks. So I think the choice really is to not take this shortcut of filtering by the actual file name, because here we have this read directory and we're filtering. Well, this one's okay because we're actually filtering to take the shortcut to make sure that it's not, we don't have that same ID. But here, get all event file names is really, should only be a utility function, if at all used. So let's see if we can write the test and then refactor that we have the proper parameters to make this a functional test. Because if we go back here, notice that we should have a function that takes in this set, in this case, this last case, 3 events at least. And of course, we can show, to be even more complete, that if we set dates, the functionality won't change. Well, it might, right? So we might have a functionality that allows the name of the event to be decorated with that. But let's say we have, this other test case here where we actually want to include that the dates that are set don't affect the name, right? So we set the, and of course we don't have a timestamp on here, but if we did have a timestamp, not that it's that important, but here we would have the date timestamp. I should probably call it timestamp. But if this was done 2024-05 and on the 24th, I guess, that we don't change the name. But let's say, later on our functionality changes and we might re-specify this to say that, what, if I have this defined, I kind of want in the name to reflect that this is aside the name June 6th to 7th, right? So imagine the developer looking at this as a set of requirements. They now notice that through the regular workflow, they have the name changing as people go to that page, redefine the name. But as soon as a date is set, they add this really readable June 6th to 7th way of representing the start and end date. So that tells the developer a lot more in terms of what they can do. We can also be more thorough with this specification by perhaps adding the fact that someone could go back to that other page and say, well, we actually want to name the, since that's kind of wordy, I'm going to go back and rename this. So we're going to set the name, and this, someone might be doing this on the 25th of May, and they really want to change the name to EM Open Spaces, and therefore we want to show that this is EM Open Spaces. So let's see if that works. So EM Open Spaces. Okay. So this would kind of tell people that the way you implement this is to make sure that when you're reading these things, you're keeping track of if there was a date set already and appending that no matter if you've changed the name. So it's not going to overwrite all that. So this is a very thorough set of requirements for, how to display the name of the event based on some history of what happened. And, to keep things simple, we won't include this extra name here, but it's a fun exercise for you to do after if you're using this code. And let's write some tests to make sure that the code can have this functional sort of structure where we can just feed a set of events to something. Because ideally, we should be able to have a get all events function being passed in, or actual events. So really, if you want to do this as a callback or actually just pass in the events, it's really up to the framework and language that you're using, if that's more in the style of that technology. And of course, that has impact on how you're going to optimize that. So let's start doing that. Maybe we'll just make a simple test here, and we should be able to just refresh a page and run these tests. So we can do a function run tests. And then we will say that our tests are a collection. So we'll do tests dot for tests dot for each so for each test run a test, right? And then here we have const tests, which will equal that. It's already kind of knows that we need tests, so that's pretty good. We kind of don't want that. So we want some fake events, and we want these tests to be called something. I guess we can call them here. Test the, not topic submitted, but test the name, right? We got the name here. So we want to test this open spaces name SV, right? Open spaces name state view. And I'm just going to delete that and see if it knows how to do that, right? We kind of want the date here, const date. No, stamp. Timestamp. And we want a date that is, an example date. Exactly. We don't want anything dynamic in these tests. So the thing about functional paradigms is that you really want to isolate something in the, remove all variables that are non-deterministic. So I want to use a specific set of times, etc. And this will always run the same way, no matter when I'm running this test, right? So we also want a constant name for the event. Space. Right, that should give us a... Sure, let's do that. So, and now we have our open spaces named event, which of course we want the name of space, timestamp, and of course we want the ID to also be pre-populated. So const ID equals, and of course our AI gives us the proper refactoring. Notice that I didn't need to remember extract method, etc. This is, this is why AI is the next level of your refactoring things. So if you, like me, were really for a decade plus taught all of the refactoring things like Shift F6 to rename something, and then the IDE would rename all these things for you. We're getting to the point where that's already inferred by what you're writing. So I'm writing as if I already had done that refactoring step. And all I have to do is hit tab, because from the style of the code, etc., I know that this is going to be done for me. So hopefully that makes sense for you. And let's keep going. We get so we have our test event. Remember, just to revisit, maybe I should have this on the side. I think I'll have this on the side. So I'm going to open to the side this as a reference. So let's get rid of all of these other things here. And so, get rid of shapes. Okay. So if we scroll out, and we know that we have our tests here. I'm working on this test to make sure that this thing gives me what I want. So I'm let's maybe give this a bit of a little bit of a highlight here with I will set this to be arrange to back. Let's make sure we have some color that we're working on this. Autofill, what else? Opacity, let's just make it, you know, a little bit less in your face. And okay, so that tells us that we're currently working on this. Get rid of that formatting now. And I guess we can span kind of all rows. Now there's another, if you have this, there's another format for like for drawing these specifications. It's a little bit more compact. And if I want these specifications to be a little bit more compact, I understand that each of these rows is a separate test. You know, I can show no events and the name is blank and things like that. So all of these is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests. I can also show the same 5 tests in a different manner where, you know, I take, oops, Control Z. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but this is exciting stuff for me, so I don't want to miss any points. So yeah, if I wanted to show the progression of this, and I know that by convention I'm just copying the previous events that have happened, all I need to do is drop these, and I understand that this vertical line is my timeline, and as I have no events here at first, and then I have the name set event, and I have another name set event, etc., and I finally have a date set event, that as I go through this timeline, at first this specification, this state view here, the name state view, shows nothing, then it shows this, then it shows this, then it shows this, and really a developer can easily see that, okay, every time I have a new event, I ignore the previous event, right? And that's my state view. And that if I do see a date set, that I don't append the dates into the name. So if I want to be thorough, I can now really have, let's add a shape here just to make this point clear. We have an arrow that we can kind of bring in and say that, you know, this is as time kind of moves forward, we have, there's not really a good way to center this. I guess I'll move the other ones over. Okay, so that's vertical. Now let's get rid of these shapes again. And let's move these guys over one bit. Oops, I moved this one as well, so let's move that back. Okay, that's kind of centered. So now you can see that this conveys the same information, as long as you know that by convention you're assuming the previous row for each test has the event from the previous test, so they're accumulative, and so sometimes what you may have is you know, example or test event stream perhaps, and this would be really a set of these events like this. So AI kind of knew that I'm doing event sourcing, and it gave me these, right? And I can obviously just delete some of this stuff that it gave me, and of course you know, new, open. I could probably copy paste this once this AI interface has the ability to recognize pictures. I could probably give it this and just paste it in, and it should give me the specification that I need. So open spaces, oops, where am I here? Open spaces, named event. All right, so it should know that I want, come on, you can do it. Oh, it gives me that. Okay, I wanted to show one more thing here. So with the Cursor AI, I can take a little bit of this and say, edit and say, oh, it was smart enough to say that I want, oh yeah, UIDs. Oh yeah, use predetermined, my spelling's off this morning. Use predetermined IDs, no dynamic data in test data. All right, so let's see if it knows to do that. So, this is one of the things that got me really hooked on Cursor AI is this ability to just really define the scope for what I want AI to do. And so now it has fixed ID because it knows what we're doing. While we're using UUIDs, we're not really relying on their format or what makes a UUID so good. And for the purposes of testing, any unique string will do. So this is actually okay because we're not doing any checking of the format of the ID. It really just wants a string to be there. But we could be kind of, well, that kind of doesn't look like the IDs. So we can do a follow-up instruction, but make sure that IDs look of the same format that they would in real code. So let's see if it knows what that means. So even if I don't know the right terminology, it should kind of get what I'm after. And yeah, so it actually does give something that looks like a UUID or a GUID, which is exactly what we want. So we can accept that. And now we have some history that we can basically use for a number of tests. And so if we have, another test here, usually what we would have is, something like, let's erase all this because I actually don't want the rest of this. What we would have here is events, and they would equal the test event stream.slice, and we would take the first one, right? So I think that's the proper syntax. And then for the second one, we would take, I'm just going to copy paste this, but for the second setup, we would have, two of them. And if we were testing something like a view changing as we add more and more events, this would be an easy way, with first event, and then here with first two events, right? Things like that. So I don't know if this is the correct syntax for slice, but I can always edit, make sure this is taking the first two from array. Right? If I don't know the syntax of JavaScript, I can there. See, it did correct me. I am stupid. It has to have that offset. So I'm I guess I'm not stupid. I'm stupid in terms of JavaScript. I don't have enough experience to call myself an expert, but it certainly understands what I'm trying to do. And this is kind of what I really want to do is to do that, but also we can to be thorough, more thorough, of course, if we were setting up these tests, we do want to have the events being really an empty set here to do the first one, right? With no events, right? Oh, tab. Okay, see, it even knows how to change my spelling and grammar. Really good. So I'm hoping this is making sense for everyone. We went kind of a down a rabbit hole to kind of dive into, how you specify how this really behaves. Now you can see that the event model really gives you, the way that things should work usually. But we do go down these little rabbit holes to say, well, right, but what happens if, right? And these questions such as, oh, this person submitted this form many times over many days, what do we show? You can show a lot of the exceptions in this. A lot of the specifications in event modeling will be of this form. Generally, to be a little bit more explicit for what each test case is, we kind of do this. But then, as we get better, we kind of save on space. And if we're all familiar of the convention, we start to do things like this. And here, let me just arrange this to go back and get rid of that. And so, yeah, so then we really want to just show that each test is this, but it kind of implies that we have the previous events inherited, and this is why this collection of events really should be a collection that's shown here. And then as you're specifying the progression of how a view changes over time, you're really just adding, more and more. And of course, you can refactor this to be, if you wanted to follow a pattern, to be really event streams, right? So, and expect, well, it even knows that this should have that. But one problem is that we're not passing this in. Like, how are we telling open spaces to look at, these tests here, this test event stream? This is why we need to have this passed in, right? Events. And this is really what things should be looking at. And we shouldn't have, actually that is our specification. We do have this state view. If we look at our implementation, we actually don't have this following. So if we go back here, we do have this implementation, and the AI picked up on it faster than me, that we actually do have this code here, and I did shrink it down so it's a little harder to read, but let me highlight the line. That we do have the last event name, and the error message is nothing, or we have the error message no space has been created yet. So, our space, our space, can't read that. Our open spaces name state view actually has more data in it. So we actually don't have the event model showing that, right? And, we could have, this is, first of all, there's two different things. There we have the form, and then we have, this is not a form. This actually just has a name, and I think I should get rid of the border to make it not look like a field. So let's go to style, and we don't want the line on here, okay? And the reason for that is that this is just a label of what happens. This is a confirmation page, and the button is continue. This is the form where you enter something. So even if we're in a state where there's no previous events, we're not showing that error message that the view has. You can see that that the state view shows two things: whether there's an error condition. Oops. Why did I click on that? Okay, let's get rid of that thing here. Okay. So yeah, this shows that we have again, let's slowly scroll across this. So we either have the space name if one exists and an error message that's blank, or we have an error message that says no space has been created yet, and the space name is, according to that, 0, of course. So we have those two states that this state view can be in. we simply on this form don't show the error condition, but we show the blank value, right? We did that as a, in terms of the implementation, we actually did load up, the space name. And the reason that we did that is if someone goes back to this form and there's already events here to show that, this might be something that we add to the event model just to show that this behavior is kind of in the system for at least the name, that it will show in that field that you can type in a default value of what it already was. So you might catch yourself like, oh, I already defined the name. I don't have to be on this page. I can go, and we don't have a menu in here yet, but I could just click on the menu item to go and set the dates or something else, right? And but that gets into the other requirement that I want to get to, which is showing how far along in this process we are. Maybe have some kind of a indicator of progress. That's kind of what you would get in a wizard. Maybe not allow people to set dates if they haven't set the name, to kind of enforce this wizard behavior that you want people to go through a set of 3 or 4 steps to really set the name, set the dates, set up the rooms or whatever that we want for this thing. So yeah, this looks okay so far. Let's keep going. So I hope everyone, and if you want to chat, let me know. We are on Discord. I should probably interrupt right now just to kind of update people on where we are in terms of, okay, so this is how we run this thing. But again, our Open Spaces event is happening. If you want to learn all this stuff, event modeling, event sourcing, non-event sourcing with event modeling, a lot of great speakers there. We just had some more announcements. Let's see if I can find that post, which was done by Alexander just, I guess, earlier today, or yeah, a different time zone. So Alexander has added some more announcements for the open spaces, which is really cool. If I can find it, I will show you. Give me a moment here. And wake up. Let's see if I can find it. Notifications. Nope, not that. I'm just trying to, I was on LinkedIn, so I'm trying to find that post. LinkedIn's navigation's a little bit tougher. Ah, there it is. Okay, so I found the post. See more. See if I can grab that and put that here for the moment. And Jen and I, okay, so yeah, see, there's a lot of things that Alexander has been posting here about people that are, I want to do one of these announcements myself to show what's coming up from me at these things. So, oh, this is interesting. I have the live stream going on here, but this is, so Arian has made his own framework as well for event modeling. Really brilliant guy. He'll be there at the open spaces. Yeah, this is kind of a weird layout here. But yeah, he is he's talking about a lot of domain-driven design stuff, systems thinking, EDA, understands quite well how event storming fits in with event modeling. So don't miss out on seeing him at the open spaces too. And I'm sure he'll sneak by to go and see the workshop on June 6th. So that might be quite the workshop the day before. That's a paid event, but if you want people to learn this stuff at your company, there's still some room left. So make sure to contact me or Alexander and get your folks there to learn this stuff all day long, and then participate the next day with the open spaces to really explore with the community further areas, and maybe find some people that are working on similar tech stacks or similar domains as you, and collaborate and win. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Again, that's coming up quite soon, June 6th and 7th. So let's see if I have my countdown updated. I usually have a little thing here. Oh yeah, 8 days left. Well, it's now 6 days left. So there we go. And this is the URL, Event Modeling Open Space. From there, you can also find the workshop details, but the proof-board.com/event-modeling-open-openspace.html. Or you can find those links pasted in the comments of any of the recent posts on Twitter or LinkedIn. Just search for event modeling, one word, or the hashtag event modeling spelled with one L. You'll be able to find that. So, okay, enough of that. Let's get back to coding. Yeah, so this is actually quite an important stream because it talks about testing, which, you know, is quite important. And what we've shown here is that we want to pass in the events, but really what we want is to not pass in the events, but pass in a function that gets the events, and that function can take a callback. If we're going to do some of this JavaScript stuff, we might as well pass in, well, I don't know. Do we want to complicate it? Let's make it applicable across multiple other languages where you may not rely on callbacks as much. So that's fine. Let's just pass in the events. And here, we need to refactor this. Let's get rid of this initial test, because I kind of like where we're going with this, where we have these tests, run tests, we have that. So we want to add, maybe just duplicate this line a few times. And get rid of these for now. And of course, we change these to be, you know, the next things here. And we do test 1, 2, sorry, hit the enter key there, 2 and 3. And then, of course, the IDs have to be different. So I'm just going to change this first number to be that. That gives them something that's unique. I'm not sure if that matters, but just to be complete, we do have this. And then we have this second one. So, you know, this should, okay, perfect, right? It does understand that we have, oops, Control Z. Right, so we have that, but our real implementation is suffering because now we expect the events to be handed to this, which means that our really simple code here needs to be needs to have the events, get all events, right? But the problem is that we have with file names of, so we're kind of looking at a bit of the infrastructure here, which is a bad way to do this. Let's close this while we're looking at the code. We'll go to that later. So we have some issues to fix. So first of all, there'll be some performance impact because now we're not going to be stopping at just looking at the file names. we're actually going to be looking at the contents. And so if you're not using the file system, using an event store, this is where indexing comes in, because you don't assume the name, you don't have the same paradigm of file names and encodings in them. You're really looking at a generic container for the event, and you're looking at indexes to understand what what type of event that is, or what the ID is, or any of these other things. So that's kind of where we're at here. Sorry, let me just put away some of this other stuff that's taking processing time. Let's see. So we will need to do just get all events, right? So we basically get all events. We have to, so there's a filter function, get all events with a specific name, and we don't want to bubble that up to here. We really just want the events here, right? So get all events function, maybe if, but again, we're going back to the paradigm of being able to inject some optimization here. So if we do get all events, but we do this as a function, let's just keep it. So because of the JavaScript implementation, you can, and the shortcut here is to have a callback to add the filters. So I'm going to say, okay, open whatever the implementation of this is, go ahead and get all events as best as you can use that functionality. So I'm going to add a function, get all events, and it's going to have a callback filter function. All right, so it's going to do that. This implementation is going to have to events function. It's going to have to now get every event of type file names, right? So get all events with file names. Actually, it's going to have to call the events function. And this is where it will know how to filter things out. But again, this is doing too much, because I think this shouldn't know about the file system yet. So it should call something else, that event constructor is open spaces name event. And see if it knew how to do that. And it's not that. We want it to equal that. And then we do want to sort them. Okay, so that's a little better, because now events function is get all events, And then here it just reads all of them. And I think that's it. So when we call this, it's with get all events. So that's just a lowercase. And that should still work. So we kind of don't want to use this where we're hitting the file names, right? Because now we need to do get all test events here, because this events has to be a function, which would be our test events, right? So we should be getting test events function, which would be function test events, and just return the test stream. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to get this to be one line because I hate wasting space and having to scroll up and down. I want to make sure that we see that this is just returning the test stream, and that our callback here is going to still, take the right constructor name to filter for the type, and then it's going to sort them and give me the last one. So I think we've removed the lower level dependency on the file system to be able to do this, right? So, this should quite easily be test events function, and same here, right? So let's be bold here and see if we can run all the tests right in the page. I think we can run the function from the command line. I'm not too good at Node, so I don't know if this will help us, but AI might do it for us. Run the tests events. Oh, sorry. Run the, what's the name of the function? Run tests. Yeah. I think we have to export this for this to work. In app.js using Node. Is that really what's going to make it run? That's funny. Did it do that? Yeah, no, I figured that's not how you do it. Make this runnable from the command line somehow. Again. That's weird. So I'm going to reject this, and I'm just going to ask the AI. So add it to chat and say, I want to run this function from Node in the command line. I think I can do something with npm, but I kind of don't want to have to. Export the run tests, of course, right? Update this. Yeah. Okay. Create a new file to invoke the function. Really? Run test.js? Oh, I have to do that. All right. I guess I'll do that. I wonder how many other things will I need to export. Anything else, or will exporting this do the trick? And then I can ask with the code base. Ah, yeah, see this, yeah. Mm-hmm. Test event stream. Mm-hmm. 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 Will this require exporting the events in All right, so this is why I really didn't want to export everything. Or I wanted to run it within that. Mm-hmm. Can I run app.js with the entry point run tests function from node on the command line? See how much it knows. Okay, modify app just condition color run test. You can check a condition at the end of your to check if the file is being run directly. You require me. Can I still don't like this. The module check. See how much AI can help you? No, why is the focus so weird on this camera? I'm all blurry. There we go. No, it goes back to that. But then I don't want to make another file. Oh, the E. That's what I thought. Okay, I think this is the right answer here. Okay. But okay, I'm not sure if this is correct. Isn't that a function at I think it has to export this. Okay. Okay. And so now that's not true. Okay, so something's up. Anyway, I guess I'll run the thing in the browser. Oh no, I can't even do that. Yeah, so we should probably have, so I don't want to move this function into a separate file so I can require it and all that, which is a pain in the butt. Let me think on how to run this. Pass, okay. I guess I can just pass something. How do I pass a parameter to node app.js? Blah, blah, blah. Come on. I did this before, a long time ago. I just want, when I'm running this with a parameter, I want just to do tests. Yeah. Okay. That's good. We want to do that at the top and not import any of the stuff. So that's all we want to do. And then we want to exit, right? 0. That's that. And here on these tests, as they're running each test, we want these things to return a value of 0. Sure, return true. I know I could use a testing framework, but I really want to be not depending on anything if I don't have to. And then here, show a green checkbox. So let's do that. I guess we want to do that. Actually, I don't want to do that. Here I want to Control K, print Unicode green check box if return of true, red X if error caught or return is false. And the name of the test. Name of the test. I guess I should name the tests. How do we input the tests? That's fine. So that's good, except I guess tests should be named. So Control K, add a name to each test. I like that. That's really good. So we're kind of like building our own test framework here very quickly. So I like that because it has the name of the test, and then we're actually doing the test. And here we want to add a new chat. I want to add this to the chat, and I want to make this test runner show the name of the test after the Unicode character. And then we can do this with the code base. Good. So I think that should do it. All right, so now we can just hit apply and it'll do its thing. And it looks like it did it. Don't know why that's there, but we don't need that. And that's fine. That's fine. So we can accept all those. That's perfect. Okay. I don't want the comments. Get rid of them. You can kind of be verbose right now for this test runner, but I really want to obviously make this into something smaller. So now can we actually run this with node app.js test? Is it run tests? Sure, run tests is fine. Run tests. Something's a problem. Cannot access before initialization. Oh. Okay. Why did it do that? Debug with AI. Why is tests not initialized? That's a const. That's a const. So why is that? Test array being used in tests before it's declared and initialized. Oh, does that mean this thing has to be run at the bottom? Ugh. I guess if we put, since we're using this only in the context of run tests, we could just declare this stuff inside yeah, any of this stuff, maybe just move it into our context of our test runner. I kind of don't want them to be hanging around the scope of the actual application. Let's grab all this stuff, and all of this will have to live only inside here. And we'll correct all the syntax stuff that's here. So unless it already works, it doesn't seem to be an error. So, okay, if we run tests, if we run this function, then these things will be declared. Test events, we also need to have, okay, so we have test events, which returns that. Tests, test events. Open spaces should call the function, events function, with this filter. So the events function should have a filter. Filter function. I think that's what we're missing as well. Oops. Get out of here. Okay. So maybe now we can do this. Nope. What does it do? Now it's got an issue here. What's the issue? Cannot access open space before initialization. Open space named event. Oh, we're not importing that stuff yet. I see. So all our imports have to be done first. So we need to require these guys are used. So they have to be at the top, unfortunately, but that's okay, because over here we're either running a web application or the test runner. And so that decision has to be up here. And so both things need these events. So this needs to be at the top for the tests to work. Okay. So that makes sense. Let's try that again. Okay, what's the problem now? Oh, look at that. Exit is not defined. Okay, so there's another issue here. So let's just get rid of this exit stuff. How do I quit the process? Control K. Quit node process. Thank you. That's all I wanted. And then we have a test runner problem. Again, exit not defined. We got rid of that. Did I just not run it after saving it? Okay, I have to save it first. Does it save? Yeah, it saves when I lose focus of that file. So, okay. Awesome. It's not telling us why things are failing, but they are failing and we're getting a failure thing here. So do we have return true? If result, it gives us can I just inline the actual Unicode in here? inline the actual Unicode, right? Oh yeah, that's better. Come on. Come on, I gotta run this stuff locally. This is ridiculous. Gotta get a local LLM running on this. Okay, that's way more readable. I like that. But we got an issue here, and I kind of want to add expect blah 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 test error message console write test results control. Okay, edit console write test results. Write expectation results. Okay, that'll make our tests spit out some better information about what's going on. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I want. But that's pretty good. We're getting actual test runner embedded in the same thing without a proliferation of files everywhere and all that stuff. So, oh, so it corrected something. Expected test one error message 0 got space name test one error message nothing. Really cool. Okay, very very nice. One thing I don't like is this mismatch of characters. So I'm going to just copy this. Oops. I need to Control Shift C to copy this. And I like these things, but I also don't like that this is a lot of repeated code. So I'm just going to get a simple function to be extracted from there. Edit, extract a function that will do the console logging. So we don't need so much custom string stuff in each test. See, this is what I like about AI, is that it actually moved refactoring to a level that's better in terms of I mean, I don't know if that makes sense to everyone, but I like this a lot better. It's just we're tied way too much to specific aspects of a programming language with where we're at before. And expected result. Okay, and I think we need to use the same spaces. So use yeah. Edit, use double quotes. it shouldn't matter actually right now, right? Because it's doing stringify to both, so it should do whatever stringify does. Yes, perfect. Okay, so we have now notice how quick those tests run. So that's the awesome thing about doing event sourcing is these deterministic tests. We're not spinning up a database. We're not even using the file system. Like all the tests are in here, right? We have our our setup with what events exist already. That's all. Then we say, okay, according to this, what is our view of our, let's go back to our specs here. Open to the side. So get rid of this, get rid of this. I think we're not running this anymore. So, going here, we're doing exactly this, and we can continue on, right, with this. And because we have such a good pattern, writing the further, the next tests should be easy. So if we want to throw in this date set piece of wrench in the gear, so to speak, and show that it doesn't affect it, we could show that it's not, using that event. So let's, we have 3 of the first, so 1, 2, 3. As we're changing this, and of course we can remove the ridiculous names and kind of like make it do exactly what it does here. And a guy from Iran did a really good framework from getting all of this stuff from Miro actually, and creating these tests automatically, right? So which is really cool. So we can be better at this to make it look like what, and that's what I would expect. I would expect these things to really look like this. In fact, I think because the XML that's used to store these, if I look at what this is on file, I should be able to put that in a prompt and the AI to actually rename the test 1, test 2 to open spaces, event modeling, and all the other data that's in here. I think we should be playing around with this at the open spaces in Berlin to really test out some of these patterns and just how fast you can go with this. But I hope those of you that have been around the block, specifying software and how error prone it is, I hope you're starting to see where working with such a small set of patterns can really get you going incredibly fast because of the cadence and the repeatedness of the patterns here. Like you're just using the same thing over and over again to do this stuff. I mean, look at our test framework. It's tiny, right? Yeah. I mean, we can probably make it tinier. Consolidate this to be smaller. I don't know what it'll do. Well, let's see. Sweet, look at that. Does it still work? Ah, ternary operator. That's pretty cool. I guess I don't need a whole line for this simple catch. And we should probably add the error name, right? Console log test name. Had error. All right, there we go. I think that's better. So we don't have any errors yet, but we'll run into that. We'll obviously add more code here, but hey, pretty easy so far. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of time here. I gotta take care of stuff, so I gotta go. But let's try this. Yeah, pretty nice. So we got a test runner in here. Let's finish up for today. More tomorrow. We'll do the blue box. We tested this green box with a whole bunch of stuff and showed 2 ways of writing down, showing all of the different test cases so that the business folks understand what's going on. We could actually add another slice here to show some of this default behavior. We added this. We removed the outline here to show that it's not a field, it's just a label that's showing that. So yeah, we added a few benefits here. I think get status, we should only have a few changes, right? Yeah, we only added, all our functionality was added for testing without adding extra files right now. So we're running, you know, we have this mode of running in as a test runner, and we just run the tests and exit. So that's kind of cool. And of course, we're probably missing a few edge cases here when we do run into exceptions. We kind of want this whole thing to quit better and all sorts of things. But if we don't have the run tests thing, it just runs as a regular app, right? And the fact that this this function here, you know, run tests exists, it's never run, so it's never instantiating any of our test harness. And so I think this is a really good little tutorial type of application that can continue to grow and actually be spun up into something that's production ready. As we add multi-tenancy security, all sorts of other things over the next few days. It'll be a lot of fun. So let's add this. I was hoping to have more commits, but did we add anything by mistake? Nope. So let's commit this. Added tests finally, including specs for them in the event modeling diagram. I hope you can see how event modeling is the complete package now to really run a whole software project, right? From beginning to end, including maintenance and all of these things. So all the way, you know, from the very beginning, testing your ideas, brainstorming events of what you might want to an actual implementation. So anyway, I'm pushing this up so you guys can see. There we go. And again, actually we should do one more thing before we go, and just make sure that if we do run this without the run tests, do we still have an application that works? We probably have to fix an error. I'm sure we didn't refactor everything here properly for using this open spaces, this get all events. We'll see if this works. It'll be funny if it works by default. So again, that's that, and let's see what error we get. I'm not too optimistic. Oops. Obviously we want it. Yeah. Events function is not a function. Okay, so let's see what happened here. Events function is not a function. Get all events. Get all events. And that is line 44. Events function is not a function. So what are we passing? Get all events. So get all events is a function. So why is it saying it's not a function? Events function is not a function. Open spaces SV. Well, we could type error. We can copy this let's debug all this so that we're committing something that works. So I'm not out of the woods yet. Fix. So run it with the code base. Fix this issue. Actually, it's because the fence is not being passed correctly or at all in some instances. Oh, I see. Yes. So we have a second place where this is called right here. That's what I missed. Okay, so now that that's done, let's run this again. Let's go back and go to this. Ah, it works. Perfect. Hello. Set name. Ah, so we have an issue here. We're not actually getting this space, we're not getting the results yet. So we're not crashing, but we are not getting everything we wanted to get. So get all events. This is needing to filter out all of these things from these files, and somehow it is not. Again, this is boilerplate code. So I guess I'll do this as an assignment for you since I have to go. I'll fix this for tomorrow morning and or so, at some other point today. But git add a, git commit call open space name sv correctly everywhere. Issue with getting actual files at the moment. Okay, so push that up and I'll fix it later if you guys want to try yourself. Good exercise for you to do. Send a pull request fixing this bug. I'll be super happy. I'll merge it in later. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Again, my apologies about yesterday. Way too much stuff on my plate. Don't forget about all the good stuff happening here. We're going to be using this, learning together, having a really good time. Coming up very shortly, 6 days. So next week, I hope to see a lot of you in Berlin. And for now, I will sign off and have a wonderful day. See you.